2,000 years ago, there were no cell phones, no 24-hour news channels, no social media. It was all word of mouth. And I was too forgiving, considered a threat to the powers that be, crucified by the state police. They called me Jesus. 1,400 years ago, I was undeserving of such things, king or queen or stolen legacy, tongue removed, not ready for war, had to be pillaged and removed from the history books. They called me Africa. 400 years ago, I was government funded, colonized and civilized for the new world. They called me cargo. 200 years ago, I was in a field picking cotton, discipline for asking, discipline for dancing, discipline for reading, discipline on bad days, discipline on good days, discipline to keep subordinate. I built the White House I couldn't live in. They called me slave. 130 years ago, I was ready for war, but not ready for freedom, still not saved, not really human, 3/5 of a person. They called me nigger. 70 years ago, I was 14. Sitting on a stack of books, electrocuted for a crime with no witness. They called me the youngest person electrocuted in the United States in the past 100 years. 60 years ago, I was minding my own business, walking down the street, enjoying my day, admiring the beauty, thinking out loud, whistling in the wrong direction, scooped up, beaten, eye gouged, shot in the face, barbed wire tied to a cotton gin fan and thrown in the river, covered up by the police. But Mom chose an open casket to remind you that evil still exists. They called me Civil Rights Kickstarter. 50 years ago, I was a civil rights worker, registering voters, arrested on Trump charges and released in the dark to the Klan. I didn't make it home that night. They called me a traitor. 40 years ago, I was student body protesting the Cambodian campaign. I was idealistic, didn't think it could happen to me, till the National Guard was brought in. They fired 67 rounds at us over a period of 13 seconds, killing 4 students and wounding 9 others, one of whom is still paralyzed. They called us troublemakers. 30 years ago, I was COINTELPRO target, crack consumer turned commodity for the prison system. I was beaten to a coma where I lied in the hospital for 13 days before dying. They called me happenstance. 20 years ago, I was 66 years old. My Social Security wasn't cutting it. I was $394.60 behind on rent when police thought 2 shots from a 12-gauge shotgun would make me move sooner. Someone called me grandma. 17 years ago, I was mistaken for a broom closet. NYPD sodomized me with a plunger. They said I wasn't listening right. 11 years ago, I was sleeping with Officer Lyles, woke me up by fracturing my skull after not appearing at my probation hearing. I was 13 then. 3 years later, the same cop shoots me through the heart. He called me repeat probation violator. 9 years ago, question, if someone drags you through the wood, chained by the neck and no one sees it, did it really happen? 5 years ago, I was unarmed and handcuffed, stomach to the platform. When he shoots me in the back, he say, whoopsie, my bad. 2 years ago, I was victim of a neighborhood watch. I was chased into my home and gunned down in front of my grandmother and younger brother. They called it deja vu. 1 year ago, I was in the wrong car. Wrong color, wrong time, but still right place, delivering newspapers when cops mistook the sounds of my newspapers hitting the concrete with gunshots. 8 cops shoot 103 times, hitting 71-year-old me and just missing my daughter. They say settlement should mean forgiving. A few months ago, I was headphones, hands up, head down, music too loud, should have known better. They called me a threat. A few weeks ago, I was shot in the back 6 times by officers who claimed I lunged towards them with a samurai sword. They say contradicting cell phone footage doesn't tell the entire story. Last night, it was dark out, and I was street light and cell phone. Looked a little too comfortable. Hands up, yes sir, back turn, I was too big. Looked too much like a target, too small, could slip through the cracks, too dark, just right, light skin, wrong neighborhood, wrong neighbor, the right target, a little too close, looked a little like a suspect, didn't look like I belonged, almost out of sight, perp, suspect, incapacitated, drugged, high out of my mind. They say I was running towards, but I guess it looks the same as running away. I could have been protecting myself, but I guess I appeared aggressive, threatening, on my cell phone or with my wallet. It could have been a gun, or maybe it was some flowers. Maybe I reminded them of transatlantic cargo, Holocaust, state legislated, subsidized by the Fed, privatized for profit, mistake, misguided, asking for it, disturbing the peace, 3/5, right? I guess they heard the story too many times, desensitized to the plight. Just another problem, inhuman, too potent, too black, too strong, covered up, planted on, displaced jail fodder, runaway slave, absent father, abusive husband, lost cuz, asking for it, didn't answer fast enough, voiceless, didn't speak English, didn't remember my place, played my music too loud, had questionable profile pics, my speech pattern was consistent with criminal, the reason I needed to be handcuffed and thrown into the back of a squad car. They couldn't understand how I shot myself in the chest. They must have forgot I was quadruple jointed. I was a magician, like David Blaine. I was all smoke and mirrors, not really human. Part of my spirit never learned its lesson. I should have just killed myself. Or maybe I did. by being all this black and Latino in one place at the wrong time, in the wrong role, where it's always the wrong time to be of color, or conscious, or fraction, or insignificant, or just walking. I realized no one cared about me when I was no longer worthy of a Facebook status, or a trending hashtag on Twitter. Forgot about when the new iPhone was announced, or when the Super Bowl happened, wasn't reblogged because the Ice Challenge was more fun to watch, or Coney 2012, or the Galaxy 6, or my murder wasn't on World Star, or my execution had a green screen, or the Ukraine invasion, or some planes disappeared over the ocean somewhere, or my face didn't look good on a t-shirt. My death wasn't fashion friendly enough. I'm starting to sound like a running sentence or a runaway slave. History repeating itself, deserved life but got death instead. Can't understand why we always tripping, right? I guess they're always right. Why we always gotta take our life so serious. Thank you.